NPC, and I'm making a video that I tried to do before, one I actually kind of uploaded before, but then removed it because I got uncomfortable, which is something that has been happening a lot with me lately, before I started getting any sort of following, I've felt a lot more unhinged and a lot more like I can do what I want and stuff. And while I still have some of that, I've definitely become a lot more paranoid and a lot more concerned. And well, I think some of it's for good intentions. I don't want that paranoia to destroy me or take me away from what I preach and what I, want to do or overcome through, social media and online. And one problem that I just totally didn't calculate, embarrassingly being an issue at all, is of the conversation of AI. So obviously I don't think I need to explain, the current debacle with AI, especially with my generation, Gen Z. It is highly hated. And while I understand that, I think it's getting hated to a point where the hate is becoming a problem, as it is both uneducated and misguided and miseducated. I don't know how popular of a take that is. I'm sure that is an unpopular take, especially with my generation. But the main reason I am making this video is because I've used AI quite a bit of times. I've been using AI since 2023, so I was pretty goddamn early to it. And I've used it off and on, for the past 2.5 years. Now, through that time, I developed a game with primarily AI graphics with mixtures of After Effects, Photoshop, and all that, which I'm going to get into later. And throughout a small chunk of my videos, I would have a small little graphic that would usually would be generated through AI and then edited and altered through Photoshop just to kind of clean it up and make it look a little better. I did this for a while and I didn't think much of it. I didn't think it was such a big deal, But I had a video which, like the dislike wise, did just fine. It did just fine, and the video itself wasn't a problem at all. People liked the video. The interesting thing, though, was the first time I uploaded it, despite it having, a 95 to 99% like the dislike ratio, before they removed the ability to look at fucking dislikes for some reason, I got a fuckload of comments basically saying, don't use AI slop, AI slop, AI slop. And it created fights in the comments. And it really puzzled me because, and again, the graphic that basically it was in question to a graphic that was in the video very early on. I liked having these kind of little title card intros. Sometimes I would do AI, sometimes I would do it through Photoshop. Again, these are silly little YouTube videos, so I didn't think they were a big deal. But this one time around, I guess it was a huge deal. I guess people really weren't happy with it. But not only that, there were people fighting the people talking about AI slop in the comments. It was kind of all over the place. And the only real criticism in that video that I found 100% fair and legit was the person saying the the thumbnail was distasteful. And you know what, that is fair enough. And I eventually re-uploaded the video, not mainly because of those issues as much. I mean, they were a part of it, but also some of the information in the video became outdated right away and needed to be altered. So it was like that plus that thumbnail stuff and title stuff. It's like, all right, I might as well re-upload the video. So, there really hasn't been anything since, and my usage of AI has still been relatively limited. Again, I really only reserved it for small little graphics, or maybe to help me get something that I couldn't find online, for like a thumbnail or something. So, but ever since that video, it kind of like shocked me. It's like, oh, fuck. Because I've become very scared of my future, because I've been developing a video game since 2019. Why is it taking so long? Budget, honestly, lack of discipline, and scope has been kind of all over the place. So you throw those three in together, it's a recipe for disaster. And no, I don't have a Kickstarter, or I've never announced like anything official for the game. I've only talked about it in passing, mainly because I don't want to make a promise I can't fulfill. So that's why I've kind of kept things under the radar. But I've talked about working on my video game, which is probably my biggest project yet. However, over the past couple months, especially after that video, I've been really concerned, because while I like learning and trying to understand how AI works, the controversies of AI are on steroids now compared to where they were when I started using AI. And I can say that because, like I said, I remember when AI first came out. I remember what the controversies were like. It is way, way, way worse now from where it was in 2024. And and despite, most of my game being, CG models and, stuff I've done in Blender, stuff I've commissioned, this is a project I've spent probably close to $10,000 on at this point, paying for artists, concept art, and, every traditional thing in the book. And, there was a time where I generated some AI clouds and then modified them heavily through Photoshop. And, after having those placeholder graphics for a while, I've gotten scared. I'm like, wow, is someone gonna look at my AI clouds that I've modified heavily and gone, wow, this whole game is now AI slop because of one stupid little graphic? It might sound really paranoid and dumb, because it honestly is, but that's where the AI hate kind of is right now. It's getting to a point where if there's one tiny little thing that could be AI, it's like a massive outroar. And you got to keep in mind, we're in a time period where scandal and a false allegation can spread way the fuck faster than the truth. And we also live in a time period, like I said, we live in a time period of guilty until proven innocent. And it's just crazy that even if there is something super insignificant like that apparently disqualifies every other aspect of something. And I saw that with my video. I had one silly little graphic, and to many people, not just one or two, but to many people, it completely discredited the video from what it feels like. It completely, it just totally discredits all the other legit, proper parts of the video. And it's like, for a small little thing, Like, that's crazy, bro. And I kind of just want to talk about, my opinion on AI, what I think about it as someone who not only has used it for 2.5 years, but also someone who's been negatively affected by it. Not just me, my whole family. My brother, he's a concept artist. He's been doing art for 20 plus years. He's working for a video game, an independent game studio right now. My father, who is a graphic designer of over 40 years. He's so OG, as a matter of fact, fucking Photoshop didn't exist when he started doing shit. Like, that's how legacy OG he is. My little brother's a computer science major, and I have been developing a video game on the Godot engine for, like I said, 6+ years. So I am coming from a place that has had a entire fucking generation negatively affected by AI. And I am telling you that people's hate towards AI, people's misunderstanding towards AI is becoming annoying and out of control, in my opinion. So I'm just telling you, I'm coming from a place where I can talk about AI more than most fucking people. And I think most of your guys' hate, especially Gen Z, is out of fucking touch and delusional. So we're going to get into a little bit of that. So let me give you my take on AI, just period, as someone who both tries to understand the technology and someone who, like I said, has been negatively affected by it to a great extent. There is a lot of problems. We're not going to lie about that. And my God, can AI generate some of the most atrocious things I have ever seen? No one is gonna discredit that, right? Like, AI slop is 100% real. I don't like AI bros. And I especially don't like billion-dollar companies mass laying off people because AI is gonna replace them all. That is unbelievably tone deaf. That is unbelievably out of touch. And it is sinister beyond belief. I also don't like AI data centers. I don't like the government using it as spyware. I don't like YouTube pushing all these bullshit AI algorithms and mass flagging, mass banning channels. I don't like any of that. But let's talk about all those problems I just mentioned. Because when you talk about AI, if you ask the insert Gen Z NPC, or anyone who doesn't like AI for that matter, what do you think about AI? You're going to hear one of those following things. But if you look at every single one of those problems, what do they actually boil down to? They boil down to politics, and they boil down to, classic billionaire CEO slop shit. These are problems that have always been there. We're talking about people, we're talking about things that have always been there. Do you really think these billion-dollar corporations that have been laying off people to this extreme extent didn't want to do this before? These companies sold you the lie of stability. And I'm not saying, being a fucking YouTuber, I'm any better off. Like, I'm a fucking whore for a billion-dollar company. When you're a YouTuber, you're an internet slut begging that the YouTube algorithm notices you being a fucking little slut for it. Let's be 100%. So I'm not saying I'm in a better position, because I'm fucking not. But let's stop pretending like all these corporations, whether it's Bungie, whether it's Namco, whether it's Legendary Pick, where it's any of these big multimedia companies ever actually provided stability. They've sold you a lie. And you know what the perfect example of this is computer science. Before 2020, before AI, computer science looked like this. For those of you who have forgotten, the dream job, the dream education. It gave you the idea that, you're gonna, when you make it computer science, you're gonna be it, bro. You're gonna have super cool days working in Python. We have a colon massager, so if your butt's a little sore from last Friday night, don't worry. Monday afternoon, you can get a fucking free butt massager from our top of the line AI robot because you're a computer science major. What happened after 2020? Yeah, all gone. Just because someone else is paying you doesn't guarantee stability. Stability, I've learned, if I've learned anything from the 2020s, is that stability was always a fucking myth. Heck, I think about my dad, who has been working at CBS as a graphic designer for decades at this point. You know? He used to be able to get a raise every year for working at CBS, especially back in the day when they had upfronts and stuff. That used to be like guaranteed. Not only are upfronts like a non-existent thing now, for those of you who don't know, upfronts was this kind of corporate thing where CBS and kind of all these companies would present like up and coming stuff. So they would load the month of April and May with all these kind of like big promos and stuff. So there'd be this big kind of hallelujah event for all these companies to showcase. So they would have their animators, graphic designers on the fucking clock. You know, my dad, he's like the coffee in the morning and then another coffee at 10 p.m. But I can't really blame him because bro had to work until 3 a.m. a lot of nights. So, you know, that's just how they get you. But, you know, not only is that not really a thing anymore, but now these companies go, oh, you should be grateful you even have a job in the first place. Let's not act like AI was the first one to do this. These companies always wanted to do this shit. These companies never gave a fuck about you. You were always replaceable, no matter how good of a position you are, okay? And, like, thank God he still has a job. Thank God he still has a place. Now, we're gonna circle back. Remember how I told you I made an AI slop game? Let me go into a little more detail about this project. This game is called Haunted Hunters, and basically I was talking to a friend of mine who was an ex-Riot Games developer, who left the company because he believed, you know, he was seeing things through rose-tinted glasses because, like I said, you're in college, oh, I'm going to work at the big game studio, and then you see the bullshit inside, and you're like, oh, it never was cracked to be. So now he's an indie game developer. And he actually released a game of his recently, which is really dope. But you know, basically, you know, he gave me some words of wisdom, and he was like, you know, you should try a game jam. And there was this Boss Rush game jam for January of 2024, and I was like, at the time, I was still years into development hell with my current game, which I still kind of am, but I was like, fuck, I feel like I'm not capable of getting something competent out in a time period, because I'm always like, oh, it's going to be this year, it's going to be that year, and it never releases. And I wanted to prove to myself that I could do it, but I also saw maybe it's an opportunity to learn how to like properly use AI. And guess who wanted to join me on that project? My legacy graphic designer dad. You know, the one, and keep in mind, this is the same guy who used to do all those OG Survivor like promo commercials and stuff. So like, he's the real fucking deal. But he specifically wanted to volunteer and help me on this project because he also wanted to learn how to use this technology. He didn't want to have his head in the sand and be potentially seen as replaceable, as depressing as that fucking sounds. And, you know, we both learned how to use AI together, and we created this game called Haunted Hunters. Now, considering a lot of it is AI generated, yes, it's an AI slop game, but it was a very important game for me and him to work on because, you know, it's the enemy, right? AI is doing all this bad shit. might as well learn how it works, might as well understand what we're actually dealing with here. And that has helped my father kind of survive a lot of bullshit. CBS has gone through a lot of layoffs ever since the massive amount of mergers that have gone on. And a lot of those layoffs were not from AI. A lot of them were, a lot of people don't know this. A lot of these kind of layoffs you've been hearing about are not from AI. Yes, some of them are from AI, but a lot more of them are COVID bloat. During the kind of streaming era, companies like Paramount, Disney Plus, all of that were ramping up their streaming services. And, because streaming was at an all-time high at the time because of COVID. But once people were able to go outside again, these subscription services were losing money because people were getting fucking pissed off with all this shit. So they've been cutting a lot of that bloat. And Paramount was no exception to that. So, I'm very happy that my father, who is giving me a place to live and a comfortable living style, is able to use some of those skills from that AI game we made to apply to the work he currently does. And I just want to help him as much as possible, but that came from me learning how to use AI. And after that kind of game, and for the record, the music is no AI at all. That was done by a good childhood friend of mine who was also working on the music for the game I'm currently working on. And man, has he done some bangers. I can't wait to get this game out to you guys. His music is like 11 out of 10. It's so fucking good. Oh my god, it's so good. It's so good. He's so fucking talented. But anyways, after that game, I decided to just experiment more with AI outside, because why not? I started seeing what could be done and like the potentials of it, and I was very interested with the technology, and without really thinking about it, I just kind of had small little graphics here and there in my videos because I thought like, oh, these look cool. Yeah, were they cheesy? Sure, but like, and maybe even cringy, but I thought like, this is just a stupid fucking YouTube video, man. Like, they're gonna look cringy even if I did them in Photoshop. So I just didn't think it was such a big deal. And not many of my videos got a lot of views. I guess my most viewed video, or one of my most viewed videos, as of making this video, my Halloween one, that kind of title thing was AI Photoshop hybrid. But I just didn't think about it for a while. And then fast forward to the Robert Swarth iceberg, it was the first time I was like, oh, what the fuck, man? Why are people, like disappointed and looking down at me? It's like, I've been doing this forever. I don't know what the big deal is. And now the hate for AI, I feel like is getting out of control. But I understand why people feel that way. I understand why there's stress. But like I said before, I am seeing more and more people's hate towards it is misdirected. And sorry if I'm repeating myself multiple times. I'm doing this in one take. I've tried re-recording this like 2 or 3 times because I'll be honest, I'm very stressed about putting this opinion out there because my god, it is the sheep mentality to like 100% hate AI. AI just needs to go away forever, and it's just such a tone-deaf way to look at life. It's such a tone-deaf, incorrect way to look at things. Like just seeing only the bad. It's us or them. It's like, can we just go back to like seeing things as a spectrum? Like, why are politics? Why is AI? Why does everything have to be us or them? Like, stop fucking thinking like that. Jesus Christ. What are you, an NPC? My name is literally NPC, and I can see that way, bro. Like, come on. Come on, bro. Stop acting like more of an NPC than the dude literally named NPC, bro. That's crazy work. But anyways, you know, I don't really know where I'm going with this video. I just wanted to give you my take on AI and what I plan to do in the future with my up and coming videos. I will take AI with a lot more caution, especially with my video game. That does not mean, like I've mainly used AI in terms of my game to help me with my code. If there's like a problem debugging, trying to figure it out, you know, it's helped me a lot with kind of cleaning up my code, optimizing it, and putting it more together. Because, no offense, the YouTube videos and the information beforehand was garbage. Oh my god, trying to learn how to code a game back then was rough, bro. It was rough. And keep in mind, this doesn't mean AI is 100% great. Like I said before, it was already hard to try to find a job and stuff back then in the gaming industry. Now it's basically fucking impossible. AI took my opportunity to ever be in the gaming industry and threw it out. And that's another thing I want to talk about. When I hear a lot about people's hate about AI, they talk about the art specifically. It's all the conversation of artists and blah blah blah. You know, when you use AI, you're not using artists and blah blah blah, which is, as someone who has actually used AI, you know, like, yeah, some of these idiots might 100% replace everything, but the realistic world I've been in, I think that's 100% fucking bullshit. I've even used AI to help with, you know, and gone through concept artwork, and you know, it's helped me photo bash and like learn how to, you know, give better results to some of my 3D modeler guys. And but I won't sit here and act like that makes things better. You know, I don't know their opinion about me, you know, photo bashing with AI and stuff, but I don't ever plan on replacing them either, you know, because you need that human touch. You need that kind of style. You know, the guys I use, you know, they're good at what they do. And I don't want to lose that. You know, my game wouldn't look good without them. So, you know, I will always believe in artists being able to do what they can do, but that shouldn't mean I can never use fucking AI. I just think that's extremely tone deaf and fucking stupid, but that's just my opinion in that matter. But what I want to say is, if you're an artist, I just want you to know that you can and you will survive. You will get through this. I just want you to know that, because if the musical artists could survive the piracy era, you guys are going to survive the AI bubble, which is already popping in my opinion. You know who's not going to survive though? All the coders. All the tech people. They're fucked. People like me, who spent years trying to code a fucking video game. Who's going to fucking hire me? At least if you're an artist, you have your creative style and look. And AI can try to steal that, but it will never do it as well as you. But it will never. It needs that human touch. You know, it needs that human touch. And there's, of course, ways to verify that. There is also laws that are starting to come in place prohibiting kind of art theft like that. Like, you guys have, if you're an artist, you have the public perception overwhelmingly supporting you, and you know, you have support. But coders don't get that support. People like me don't get that support. All right? I'm fucked. Unless I can, you know, make something out of YouTube or a video game. So, you know, it's funny how it's only about the artists, and every other topic about AI just gets thrown out the window, it seems like. maybe it's because those communities are more silent, or we don't give a fuck about each other. Because, like, as a coder, I don't give a fuck about another coder. But the art world, it seems to be a lot more with each other, which is good. And that will keep you guys surviving. But what I'm trying to say, if this video makes sense at all, is that please don't have your head in the sand with this technology. You don't have to like the art part of it, but you shouldn't be head in the sand about it, because I've seen people who have been head in the sand about other things before, and they don't do well in life afterwards. Sometimes the ugly thing you don't like will consume you if you do not tackle it in some shape or form. And for me, that's AI. I don't like a lot of, like I said, just because I've used AI and I like using it every now and then, it doesn't mean I support all this crazy fucking bullshit going on. Doesn't mean I like ChatGPT potentially getting a fucking deal with the government for, like, bombs and shit. I don't know how true that is. I remember hearing something about that. But you get my point. I don't like all this crap going on. But AI isn't 100% about politics. And that's the other point I want to bring to you. A lot of what you hate are things that have been there forever, that have been a problem forever. Let's not act like politics haven't been an issue for hundreds of thousands of years. Let's not act like people in power haven't been a problem for all this time. And don't give me this fucking, like, let's not act like they've ever been your friend. They've never liked you. They've never wanted you. It's because these companies had to have you. And now they have a potential excuse to lay off people or whatever, which is failing. Good. Let's put these people accountable. Let's talk about everything as a class war, because it kind of is. So, this, I guess I'm rambling on, and I guess I don't know what more else I can say. A lot of what I wanted to say, a lot of my concerns, I guess, have been talked about. Oh, here's the last thing. A lot of people don't see any good in AI. That's a big one. When I've talked to people about their take on AI, a lot of people are like, oh, AI is just bad, period. This is 100% wrong. This is tone deaf and wrong. There's a lot of bad stuff going on. And is AI currently a net negative? Absolutely. AI is definitely a net negative right now. I am not going to argue with you on that. We're on the same page there. But to sit here and say that everything about AI is bad, it is tone deaf. Is tone deaf and uneducated. And one of the first ways we're seeing AI actually be very useful and critical is with historical restoration. We are starting to see, films, old stuff being restored with AI, adding color. I think there was a while back where there was like some old scroll or something that got like restored after thousands of years through AI. Like, it's becoming a very useful and critical tool in specific fields. Like I said, and let me reiterate this. This doesn't mean AI data centers are great. This doesn't mean all this political bullshit's great. And let's talk about AI data centers and tokens for a minute. That won't be a thing for very long. And it's because I don't know much about this technology, but apparently a lot of computer companies like AMD and stuff have been trying to create offline local devices and computers that can run AI software without a server. This would allow you to always have access to it if you so wish to have it, which would nullify the need for things like tokens and AI data centers. That's what it again, I don't know it that well, so, you know, if you know more about that stuff, I've seen like a video or two on it. I found it very interesting. But I'm curious what you guys think about that. And I'm curious what you guys think about my take on AI, you know? Because, you know, I want my game I've been working on before AI existed to do well, you know? But I'm also scared because let's say I had no AI graphics in my game at all. Is the fact that I've made an AI slop game or used a cringy graphic here or there gonna completely nullify my ability to do my game well? Like, is it like a criminal record now to say you've used AI at all? And I find it even hypocritical that some people can make AI thumbnails with no backlash, but, you know, I have a silly little graphic and I get a whole bunch of shit for it. It's like, we can't even be fucking consistent about it. It's kind of, I guess that's my point. I'm getting really tired of how people are treating the AI conversation. And one of the greatest examples of this, proving my point that you should be educated about something you talk about, is there was a tweet. What was it? There was a classic. I'll see if I can pull it up. There was a tweet where someone took an old painting from a Renaissance like master, and they said this is AI generated, and everyone of course mocked it. But then it turns out it was actually a real painting the whole fucking time, but because someone painted it as AI, everyone just made a bunch of assumptions like they knew what the fuck they were talking about. But the reality was they were all fucking idiots. You know? And it almost makes me wonder, do people only care about things looking like AI? And what, like, I guess that's how I want to end this video. What about AI do you hate so much? Your own self. Don't think about the sheep mentality because they're clearly not educated. Don't even think about my opinion I just told you, if you even like my opinion. What do you, if you decide to watch this video, what is your like take on AI? What do you believe a way that it's okay to use it? Where do you see it usable? And it doesn't have to be just about art. I mean, just about anything in general. Do you care about certain things, you know? Are your concerns only about art, you know? If you were to take the issue of politics and that's okay. That's a good one. If I took the political problems, the environmental issues, and the corporations layoff issues, what would your opinion on AI be if all those three non-fully AI related things, only partially related, were gone? What would your opinion on AI be? Because it felt like that back in 2023 and 2024 when people just saw it as a goofy way to make kind of silly memes. But yet again, we haven't seen what this technology is fully capable of or what the end result of this bubble will be. But, you know, like I said, I want the best for my game. I want the best for my fellow artists out there. And I don't like AI bros, but I also think I don't like people who are just belligerent, is that the right way to say that, and just have their head in the sand. It's just, it's tough because there's just a lot going on right now. And I think, you know, if we can get through COVID, we can get through whatever the hell this kind of wave is. I genuinely believe that the 2020s, when they're over, I think the 2030s will be a net better decade than the 2030s. Will it be a great decade with no controversies? No, it's obviously going to have controversies. But I think it's going to be a better overall decade than the 2020s. I think the 2020s was a decade of boiling problems. You know, stuff like the Gaza Strip, stuff like Epstein, stuff like, you know, a lot of this crap has been stuff that has been boiling on well before any of us had a conscious brain, if you think about it. Before most of us. Like, some people might be like, oh, the 90s were so great. Yeah, you know who else liked the 90s a lot? Diddy and Epstein. So, I guess you have a relation to someone like that, huh? Right? So, people are always going to see the world as shit. And whenever there is an unknown and something new, people are going to be afraid of it. And, you know, when those new technologies and when those new stuff comes, just make sure to have your own opinion. And again, you don't have to like my opinion. If you think my opinion is, I guess, tone deaf or out of touch, which I hope it's not, because, you know, I feel like I'm coming from a place of artists and people who have been affected by it the most. I think a lot of people are out of touch about it, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know how to end this video. Again, this is a very controversial topic, and I hate politics, and I don't want people's political perceptions to be the reason something I worked so hard on just gets thrown out the window because of something that isn't even a real critique of my game, you know? If someone plays my game and they just don't like it, they don't like it, but that reason shouldn't be something outside of what the game or what the project actually is. And I don't know what that could be. I can't really predict the unknown, and I've been paranoid ever since getting a following of putting myself out there and trying to, you know, be a content creator and stuff. It's like, wow, you really will, whether you like it or not, get into a controversy. Well, you will, you know, and sometimes it's something you wouldn't even expect, like a dumb little AI graphic. So, yeah, I don't want to do this video again. I hope my point made sense. I hope you believe my approach to it was level-headed. Obviously, you have the ability to disagree. You have the ability to, you know, it's the internet after all, and I can't really control your opinion, but that's my opinion. You know, and that's all I gotta say, man. If you've made it to the end of this video, thank you for watching. This is something that has been bothering me for a while, and I really wanted to make this video to also kind of jump ahead of some idiot spreading misinformation about my projects and stuff, and giving you my most honest as possible opinion about this whole kind of conversation, because I think a lot of people are afraid of things. They're afraid of the unknown, and I'm rambling on about the same thing over and over. I gotta stop doing that. That's why this video is pushing 43 minutes, but sometimes you really just gotta nail a hammer in someone's butt, you know? Sometimes you really just gotta rub it out a few times in someone's face before they really get the full picture. So yeah, that's about it. I'm gonna put this on the second channel. I'm gonna see if I can try to find some of the things I was talking about. Maybe I'm full of fucking shit. I swear I've seen that shit, so let me see what I can cook up. But that's about it. Hope the Halo footage was nice. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Peace.